Okay. So for the story called Gusul, or ritual washing, I chose this place because, as I said, it's my favorite place. But this graveyard is also a park. It's open to the public. So a lot of times between these graves you can see people, sunbathing, and don't get me wrong, I don't have any prejudices against people sunbathing among graves, but it really gives it a character. It's an open space. It both reminds us of our past. There are graves behind me which are really old, which contain names of famous people and their professions. We can hear the church bells around here. There are some new graves. I don't actually know who can be buried here now because the place looks really old and nice. So I'll read you just the opening of the story Gusul, which is about a character, Emina, who works as a carer with a boy who is autistic, and you'll see why it opens here and why it kind of defines her being in Sweden as an immigrant, as a refugee. Gusul. Emina is working, but her work, the autistic boy Stig, is scuttling from gravestone to gravestone around Stockholm's Katarina church, knocking over aluminum vases and yellow flowers, his long blonde hair wet and glued to his face. He sings the latest Swedish hit that bombed at the Eurovision Song Contest. I wanna be like a star, like a hero, love will survive. The ghosts of Sweden past that sit on the mossy and cobbled church grounds seem kind and cheerful to Emina. They do not look at her with derision. They do not mind that she is looking straight through them, as if they did not grace her with their presence. The grave of Eric the Smithy is well fenced, so that Ivar the baker and Irma the milkmaid do not enter his space like they used to do in the times when the city customs still meant more than the invisible barrier between the rich and the filthy rich. Emina rests her eyes on the family grave of Gottfried the watchmaker and finishes her turkey sandwich. Her mother's old blue cardigan makes her look a decade older than her 35. Her face is dry. She has forgotten again to apply the face butter from the Body Shop. Stig loves the churchyard, where ghosts are so old they have few relatives to bother them with odorless flowers. Yet, there are always a few nostalgic descendants who honor the dead they found in some old record book. Now, there is a middle-aged couple, both with the same crew cut and green rubber boots, working on a flower arrangement. They scowl at Stig as he does his Spider-Man impersonation in front of them. "Stick härifrån, din lilla snorunge," the man hisses. Emina stands up as if pricked in her heels, walks by the green-fingered couple and catches Stig when he jumps between two granite gravestones. He laughs into her left ear and kisses her on the temple. She hates calming him down, especially when he claims the open space as if there's no such thing as social boundaries. His autism usually keeps him silent and cornered in his classroom. Emina puts Stig down. "Go and finish your McChicken. You have to be back home in half an hour." She keeps her back turned to the couple who are still muttering. "Låta pojken hoppa runt kyrkogården. Så oförskämt." Stig scratches his ears under the soaked hair. I want to see your mum. The superhero. The superhero? Yes, she's the rogue. What's the rogue? Not what, who. She's the powerful X-Man who steals other mutants' powers. She has black and white hair, like your mom. Emina pulls him into her arms, sweeps aside the hair from his face and says, "Tell you what, she is the rogue, but you mustn't tell anyone. She's old now and has lost her powers." Cool. Is that why she doesn't speak? Emina folds up as if someone cut her sinews, and surge of memory makes her feel irresponsible, unfocused on the boy. Stig straddles her and peers into her pupils as if his eyes were a doctor's light. He seems to be in charge, the grown-up, as well as being carefree and happy. She makes herself laugh and says, she doesn't speak because she lost someone, a fellow hero. Cool. Yes, very cool. If you talk to her, maybe she'll speak with you. Stig cups his hands in front of his mouth and giggles. Good, goody, good. When? Maybe on Sunday your mother can drop you off after church. Don't like it, the preacher speaks strange. Emina wants to ask him why he dislikes the priest, but then she remembers what his parents told her at the job interview. Stig's autism means he cannot understand general nouns, concepts, abstractions. He can't see how murder and jealousy are both sins, how Jesus can be both a man and a God. Emina once told him that maybe Jesus the man is the secret identity of Jesus the God, like Clark Kent and Superman. Stig said, "Cool." Emina lies down and rests her head on the cobbles. Stig tears away to fetch the rest of his cold burger. Okay, so that was the first part of the story, the opening. The middle part is the one where Emina goes back home, takes care of her mother who dies, and then she performs this ritual washing for Muslims. And it's like a final farewell to her past, to her mother, and so on. And the story ends at another churchyard, not this one. There's one which has a Muslim section. So this is what happens. So we are back at another churchyard with Stig. Stig jumps from gravestone to gravestone in the Muslim section of Skogskyrkogården. Most stones have a crescent and a star carved close to the top. A name or names underneath. A few even have a small white bird perched on the last letter of the surname. Emina stares at a group of graves so close to each other as if the people in them were relatives. But Ahmed the Egyptian, Zuleika the Pakistani, Osman the Albanian, Safia the Malay, and Ibrahim the Somali don't say much to each other. They speak to Emina in their native tongues, a small-time town of Babel. Emina imagines they are gesticulating to help her understand their afterlife troubles. Her mother is still silent. Stig shouts to Emina, "Look at this!" She lifts her eyes from the mound marked with her mother's name. Stig jumps off Zulfikar the Turk's marble gravestone, bends his legs and spreads his arms as if he is going to hug her. He presses his palms with his two middle fingers to release the spider web and yells, "Psh, psh." He trips and falls flat on his stomach, and a second later he is up again. He pulls up his spidey suit and points at his skinny torso. See, no injuries.